This is episode 251 of How About That Cigar, recorded live at the Corona Cigar Studio. On this episode, we talk to Daniel Lance about Domain Cigars and much more. Please take a minute to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Now on with the show.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
How about that cigar?
Well, how about that cigar?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Corona Cigar Studios for episode 251 of How About That Cigar Live. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook, live on YouTube, live on X, and for the first time ever, live on Rumble. So excited to be on a new platform this evening. From the Corona Cigar Studios.
How's that go? Rumble?
Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Very excited to try out a new platform. So if you're watching us on Rumble, say hi in the comments. Let us know. And of course, everybody, no matter where you're watching from, jump in the comments. Let us know what you're smoking. Let us know what you're drinking. And if you would also, of course, take a minute, click on all the big, beautiful buttons.
All of them.
If you're on Rumble, if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, click on like, click on subscribe. Share us out with your favorite groups and people who also enjoy fine cigars, because we have a great special guest on the show tonight. And of course, if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, we love you guys for listening. Thank you so much. And be sure, as always, to subscribe on your favorite audio podcast platform so you never miss anything that we have going on.
And we really appreciate you guys, and thank you.
Most definitely.
So I got a question real quick for you.
Right on.
Can we tell them why we started a Rumble account?
So there's some stuff going on with YouTube and Facebook that they just seem to be less and less friendly to people in the cigar community and content about fine cigars. So, and Rumble, from what we understand, is pretty open about all kinds of content. I really have I've only had a Rumble membership for a few months, and I don't really consume a lot of content on there, but from what I see, there's a lot of, variety of different kinds of content.
Well, I've been a member since 8:00 this morning when you text me.
Yeah. Well, hopefully that works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited to be on a new platform. But I need some Justy smoke in my life. I know we all do. So, Justin, my friend, please join us.
What's up? I was just sitting over here fixing things, and looks like we're live on Instagram now.
So thanks for
Nice.
fixing. What was broken?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Something didn't take, but we're good to go now.
So we're on Instagram now.
Yeah, we're good.
Awesome.
Hey, everybody.
One thing that we always talk a little Minnesota sports. Again, right now it's baseball only.
Well,
hockey's over, and
we've had a little tragedy with the Vikings.
yeah, I heard about that.
Our first Rumble
Yeah.
message there.
Hey,
Hmm.
thank you for commenting. We love that. Thanks for watching on Rumble. Appreciate you very much. Spread the word, if you would. Let everybody else know that we're on Rumble, and we have lots of fun stuff to talk about with cigars. Yes. But yeah, so I saw that on the local news.
Yeah.
Do you remember I'm so sorry, I don't remember his name. It was a rookie drafted in the 4th round.
Cornerback.
I forgot.
Sorry, brother.
And sadly was killed by
a car accident.
A drunk driver.
Yeah.
Alleged drunk driver in Minnesota. So that's sad. I mean, 24 years old, just getting his career started, and some yahoo's got to get behind the wheel when he's been boozing it up.
3 a.m.
That's not good.
No.
So,
but back to sports. I mean, Your Twins have been doing pretty good.
Twins are doing really well. They've won 4 series in a row. They've been playing extremely well, even with some injuries. Royce Lewis got injured again, sadly.
What a surprise!
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad because he's such a good player, but he's just been plagued by injuries. This guy, I'm surprised, hasn't been really injured this season is Buxton. Buxton usually has nothing but injury problems, and he's been, holding on pretty well this year. But a shout out to one of the Minnesota Twins. So Jose Miranda, 2 games ago, tied the major league record. He had a hit in 12 straight games, and he's now, I believe, that makes him one of 4 players in history to share that record for getting a hit in 12 straight games. So congrats to Jose Miranda. That was pretty sweet. And anytime, and also I'm excited because they called back up Matt Wallner to the Twins roster, who is he made a big name for himself last season. He's just local here to Forest Lake, Minnesota, where our studio is. Grew up here, went to Forest Lake High School, and they called him back up from AAA just this week. So he's been playing well. I'm not sure why they sent him down again. I guess baseball's a business, and I get that, but either way, it's really great to see the Twins playing well. Yankees are still doing well.
No, they're not.
No, they've fallen apart.
They went 3-7 the last 10 games, I think it was.
Oh no.
Well,
sons of biscuits.
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, you're not. Don't worry.
No, I don't. I like the Yankees as long as they're not playing the Twins. I like the Yankees a lot. All right. Spirit of mystery. This glass is yikes. This is a very, very dark bourbon in this glass. So let's get into the intro of this evening's Spirit of Mystery, brought to us by Postania Cigars. Do you find yourself unsatisfied with the top 10 list from How About That Cigar? Are you wondering how cigars from Postania didn't make the HBTC list, but found their way onto other lists? Well, fortunately, you can be reminded every week with this Postania Cigars advertisement. Postania Cigars, the #1 unranked cigar in the industry. All right, so from what I can tell from the aroma, this is a bourbon.
Really?
It's
what do you think?
It's got a nice aroma to it. It's very dark. I mean, darker than you normally see. It's got good viscosity, great aroma, vanilla, oak, classic like bourbon smells. A little spice, maybe a high rye bourbon. I don't know.
Can you usually tell right off the back if it's a rye or regular bourbon?
I mean, sort of, but sometimes, there can be a bourbon that just has extra rye in the mash bill, but it's still 51% corn, which makes it a bourbon. All right, I'll say the first taste of this, it's really smooth on the palate, like almost kind of velvety on the palate. It doesn't taste high proof. This tastes like right at that medium, like 80 to 90 proof. If it's higher proof, I'm surprised because it tastes way smoother than it tastes way too smooth to be above 90.
It is a rye.
Is it a rye?
It is.
Okay. There's not a ton of spice to it, like you normally get kind of that spicy back end from a rye. But there is a little bit of kind of a bite on the finish, but it's not like what a lot of times you get from a rye where it's like like black pepper spice kind of thing.
It says on the bottle, it says dark rye.
Well, it is, definitely dark.
I like that color.
But yeah, aroma wise and flavor wise, it's really kind of more along the lines of a classic bourbon, but smooth on the palate, like super smooth on the palate. So that's and I'm a texture guy. I like bourbons or spirits that have a deep, velvety kind of texture to them instead of watery. And this one definitely fits that.
To my amateur nose, well, since I don't drink, I could it burns a little bit on my nostril.
Does it?
A little
I don't
bit.
get the burning, but I've kind of been having a lot of hot sauce the last couple days, so
Mhm.
maybe that's why my digestive issues a bit. Yeah, Justin's like, what do you know? What did we talk about earlier?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Special guests on How About That Cigar Live, always brought to us by our friends at Drew Estate. And following the resounding success of Blackened Cigars M81 Maduro, Drew Estate announced the new Blackened S84 Shade to Black, wrapped in a luxurious Connecticut Ecuador cover leaf. The experience of this expression is distinctly different from the original M81 Maduro, while still retaining its foundational qualities due to the Connecticut broadleaf Maduro binder and filler leaves from Pennsylvania and Nicaragua. Presented in elegantly designed 20-count boxes, Blackened S84 Shade to Black by Drew Estate is available in Robusto, Toro, Corona Doble, and Corona. For more information, please visit drewestate.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please, around the world, put your hands together and welcome to episode 251 of How About That Cigar Live from Domain Cigars. Daniel, welcome to the show, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having Domain Cigars on. So that's a heck of an introduction. Well, I before we get started here, I got to say, so when I took a trip up to Minneapolis, I don't know what kind of marketing you guys are doing in that local area, but every single cigar shop I walked into, people said, you got to go on How About That Cigar? Every single cigar shop. So I waited to tell you guys that because I wanted to get your actual reaction. I don't know what you guys are doing, but every shop I went to, even I was at Tobacco Grove, and they were like, hey, have you been on the show yet? And I go, what are you guys talking about? And I apologize. I didn't know when you guys got started with How About That Cigar.
Yeah.
I've been in Nicaragua for 5 years, so I'm a little out of the scene on some of these details, right? But
we can forgive you. We can forgive you this one
Yeah.
time.
So,
One time.
but I appreciate that. But I was very fastly introduced to your show, and it looks like you guys are running a top-notch operation here. So thank you for having us.
Oh, that's
Our pleasure.
That's
Our pleasure.
awesome to hear. Love it. So thank you to our Minnesota contingency for giving shouts out to How About That Cigar. We love it. Thank you guys.
I spent
Every one of them.
a lot of hours in lounges.
Raul is the lounge lizard of the team. He's got the time to spend in lounges.
I think you just called me a whore.
No, I called you.
lounge
I called you lazy.
A lounge lizard is a whore.
No, that's a lot lizard.
Oh, okay. Did you think the same thing?
That's a different thing altogether.
All right.
But that's for another show.
Oh,
That's for
Let's see that for numerous more television.
Well, I'm currently coming to you from a lounge. I'm actually in Fidel's here in Kansas City. You have to forgive the name, but it was just acquired by some good friends of mine here in Kansas City, and they carry Domain Cigars. So if you're in Kansas City, stop by Fidel's in Westport. They have every size of each blend that we make. Stop by and see these guys. The lounges in this community are invaluable. So it's really great to see them supporting your show so much, regardless of all the lizard conversation.
So I've been down there a couple of times, and I went to your other place you used to work at. I don't know if you want to talk about them or not, but that place, do they carry your cigars too?
Are you referring to Outlaw? I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not forbidden. It's not forbidden words or anything. But no. Yeah. So Kendall, I've met up with him. The thing is about a shop that size, and for your viewing audience, Outlaw is a massive retailer.
Yes.
I would say that they're in that iconic space of retailers where you're not just going to a cigar lounge. You're going to a whole event, right? And with the size of that humidor, right? I have 2 blends. I got 18 SKUs that a customer might be interested in. It's really easy to get lost in that vastness of that room. So I actually met up with Kendall, and I told him just flat out, I go, hey, I would bring in the product, but I would wait until you've got people showing up asking for it, just because I don't want to get lost in your lounge and you get disinterested, right? So that's the best way to approach those really, really big shops. But eventually, I mean, he did smoke cigars. He liked cigars quite a bit, and Kindle actually has his own brand as well, which he's put quite a bit of work into. So it was actually a lot of fun because I used to work for him so long ago, and there's a lot of great tobacco people that have kind of come out of that class of outlaw at that period of time, and there's so many things that they've gone on to start and work on in the industry that it was just cool to actually get to talk to him about, some people that, he used to hang out with all the time in Esteli that I now call friends, and get to kind of reminisce on, different areas of cigar making over the last, several years. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, but not yet. But a lot of shops in Kansas City do have it. Looking to expand into a lot of those shops in Minneapolis, of course. We just launched the company. The company is brand new, guys. So it does take some time, and retailers, of course, have to kind of figure out, where they're going to put you, where they're going to put you on the shelf, how they're going to talk about you, and all that. And that's why we're thankful to come on your show. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Daniel, if you would, we're going to go around here, and everybody's going to talk about what they're smoking. So, which of your lovely cigars did you fire up for the show this evening?
Yeah, so I'm smoking a New Gentropy here. This is a New Gentropy neuroplasticity size. So that's a 60 ring gauge by 4.5. New Gentropy is a double Ajero cigar, mostly Corojo mixed fillers on the inside, very stout. We call it a high intensity cigar, sneaky strong. Anytime you call a cigar strong, all the guys that like the palate busters kind of team up against you to go, it's never strong enough. You know what I mean? It's one of those, it's like the Lancero guys are never happy, right?
Whoa. Shots fired.
Yeah. I'm shooting. Yeah. What's your slogan about burning bridges? No.
Yeah. Exactly.
You got a torch in your hand right now, bro.
Right. No. I mean, look, I love Lancero too. It's just, they're never happy, right? they never have the Lancero they want. And
I can't argue with that, but still,
the one they're smoking doesn't do it, and anyway. But the thing is, so we call it a high intensity smoke. It is a full bodied cigar. It's very robust. And show that band again if you don't mind. Yep. So it is a robust cigar. But yeah, doing it in a 60 ring gauge, I mean, the blend just works, man. It really, really works. Very approachable cigar. And then, I think some of you guys are smoking something similar.
Which one did you fire up, Raleigh?
That one.
Which one is this?
There you go.
Tell us about the blend a little bit.
That's the Neutron.
That's a Toro, right?
This is a Toro.
Yeah, so that's Neutron and the Toro. So Neutron is Mexican San Andreas over Nicaraguan filler and binder. It's a medium body San Andreas, which is an unusual blend style for San Andreas. San Andreas a lot of times tends to have a dwelling on the chalk side whenever you go for a medium body. What Esteban's done with that blend is he's just completely offset that. And what I get out of it is actually a lot of silk through the retrohell. So he's taken that note and really modified it. And I use this as an analogy. It's not a direct flavor comparison because I don't think there is any watermelon taste in the cigar. But if you've ever salted a watermelon, right, it kind of allows like the flavors to kind of blossom on the palate, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of what he's done with this, because normally we always see San Andreas type cast into that medium full or full body representation, and that's good. But it's really expected, right? It's kind of something that when you pick up a San Andreas cigar, you're kind of looking for that. So actually blending it as a medium-bodied smoke, you get just this really vast and character on the palate that I've really loved and enjoyed. The two cigars, I mean, they sell really similarly at a retail. We've been very fortunate for both of our freshman releases to have done so well in the market already. But Neutron is for discerning cigar smokers that have never had a medium San Andreas that's like super sessionable. That's an incredible cigar, and I think it's a big statement from Esteban, frankly, because he's never put together a medium San Andreas like that either. And it's even been noted as, potentially being an impossible cigar to come up with, right? By some well-known cigar makers. But And there's all kinds of things that we can get into, nerdy things about the tobacco and like kind of what allows us to create those really big flavors on the palate. But
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say they've done exceptionally well, and we offer both blends in 9 different sizes. So you're going to be able to find something really close to what you want to smoke, or exactly what you want to smoke in the line. A lot of about 5 old world sizes and 4 new world sizes. So definitely something worth checking out. So
I kind of jumped the gun. We usually do this, talk about the cigar after he lights his up with our super secret, not super secret, super awesome lighting segment we do. So we'll get back to that. And we gotta talk about you not having a Lancero yet. Justin, what are you smoking, brother?
I am nerding out with Dax over here. This is a cigar show, so nerd out. Let's get it.
Right.
Let's see. I am on the Jump Tree as well, in the 6x60 simulation size. So we're going big.
And then what are you going to light, sir?
I'm going with the because you guys know that I like I love full body cigars. So I'm going with Negentropy in the Toro size. And,
by the way,
oh yeah,
did you just notice this?
Dealt 2 bands. It doesn't, when you look at it at first, it looks like one single band, but it's an overlay with the that pattern behind it. So that's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the team did a great job putting all that together. And I of course did all the industrials, but the idea of like laying over 2 bands like that and kind of creating more depth was something I just hadn't seen a whole lot of. So yeah, I really like that approach, and it actually helps with gluing as well to hopefully keep less tension on the wrapper around having to hold on that first band, being able to glue it on the outside a little bit more. So
very cool.
And it's nice thick paper too.
Quality material. All right, I'm gonna get my cigar fired up on the Cigar Toast Cam. Cigar is the leading cigar accessory brand with innovative butane lighters, precision cigar cutting instruments, travel cases, and humidors. Each product is designed and manufactured with the utmost precision and attention to detail. The result is a range of products that exude quality and refinement, reflecting the brand's dedication to excellence. For more information, please visit Cigar.com. Oh yeah,
I love that. Your toasting technique.
You got to give it the spin.
You
got to give it the spin. That's what it's all about. You got to coordinate.
I still got friends that like using the old match way and then doing it like that.
I don't think I've lit a cigar with a match in
I don't have the patience for it.
15 years.
I don't have the patience for it.
No.
All right, so let's get back to the blend you're smoking.
Let's nerd out.
Yeah. So
in your blend
about Negentropy. So yeah, again, double Ajero Corojo mixed fillers. Very unusual to see a double Ajero in an Ecuador blend. I mean, that was also a bit of a forbidden thing because Ecuador Habano or Piloto Ecuador historically has always had burn issues and things of that nature. Pair that with double Ajero, which is an extraordinarily thick leaf, difficult to position in the blend. So something that you wouldn't typically see on the market. That said, a lot of Habano or Piloto Ecuador tends to kind of follow the same drum tune, right? And we wanted something that a discerning cigar smoker could pick up every day. It's not going to be so harsh on the palate that you can't session other cigars or that you can't smoke it as a midday smoke. But we wanted to make sure that every time you would go to the blend, it would have something kind of new to offer to you. And that's including different sizes and throughout the entire smoke. I don't like a single linear expression throughout the entire cigar, but rather I like it to be, a linear sheet of music as you're smoking. So you get a really sharp notes of maybe a eucalyptus or a mint, or a really sharp note of pepper, or really sharp, but for none of those to really be dominant, right? And that actually has a lot to do with Esteban's style. My business partner, Esteban Disla, which is the co-founder of Domain Cigars and Tabacalera Family at Disla, and also Despotink Process, our tobacco brokerage. His approach towards ratio blending cigars, and this is unanimous through both blends. We start with a prime blend. So our prime blend is going to be a 52 ring gauge Robusto Extra format. We work on that blend. We want to see all the character, everything that we're going for in that cigar, in that blend. And we really think of those as projects more than it's just a Habano or just a San Andreas. It's a project that we might be procuring tobacco over multiple years. We might be growing tobacco for that project. So there could be all kinds of setup that goes into that. But essentially that prime blend, we then ratio that out to all the different sizes. So we go from a 50 ring gauge all the way up to a 60. So about 10 rings in difference. And we intentionally skip Lanceros. But I'm just joking. I'm just trying to get some chuckles out of these guys. So, but what we do is we don't have enough time.
I used to like you 10 minutes ago.
So basically, no. But on a serious note, what we do is on that prime blend, as we ratio those all out, Esteban and I will make 200 of each size of cigar. If we see the blend developing on the rolling table in a way that we don't like, if we see too many of the characters kind of being drawn out or any kind of harshness that shows up, then we'll kind of pause on that. We actually go back and rework the prime blend. But if we make it all the way through that ratio blending, then what we'll do is out of those 200 cigars, so we're talking about 2,000 cigars in about 9 sizes, we'll take about 1 out of every 10 of those 200. And then Esteban and I will go through, smoke those, and then we smoke those against the masters from the prime blend. And we try to make sure that we've not created something that is completely monotone. We don't want to smoke the same cigar over and over again in just different formats, right? That can be good for certain projects, but what we actually want to see is elements of the cigar changing in that blend. And we want to see those musical notes kind of picking up and dropping off in different areas. And, Esteban's way of tweaking that is take small, medium, and large leaves. And inside of that ratio, balancing, do we want to, on a 60 ring gauge like that simulation, do we actually want to use mediums on that? That way we get a little bit more condensed flavor on that leaf. Or do we want to use something larger? Do we want to mellow out the tone of a particular secco? And that's something that whenever you actually work with someone that does ratio blending in this way, we're doing it to actually protect our tobacco supply, because what ends up happening if you blend a size multiple different vitolas, at the end of the day, you end up with an uneven consumption of tobacco. It becomes really, really difficult to forecast that into your agriculture. So you end up needing a lot of, this year we're going to need, an extra 600 pounds of this or that, because sales volume ultimately is king. What you want to smoke is what we want to make. And sorry, go ahead.
Lancero.
Is that for the, if we have time, I'll check with Esteban. I don't know if we'll have time. So we'll see. I don't know, but
just for you, Raleigh, just
pretty busy these days, around the factory and stuff. So, but really, there's two different kind of prevailing ways of going about blending cigars, and Esteban's actually Dominican, right? And a lot of Dominican cigars are blend to size today. And that's intentional, and it's meant to keep a consistent blend, which is a novel ideal. But if you have really consistent tobacco procurement, if you have consistent fermentation, if you've actually locked down those areas of the supply chain, you'd be impressed by how far ratio blending will get you in different sizes. Because as you move through the line, you're going to see different elements. And we've even seen at retailers, they'll sell pretty evenly across the board, and then 1 month, they'll pick up really strong in one area of sizes, and then the next month it's on the totally other side of the size spectrum. So that can be pretty awesome to see, just how and which cigars people gravitate towards.
Well, and one of the things I'd like to do is go back in time a little bit, because especially first time guests, Daniel, we love learning about how people started to fall in love with cigars. So
Sure.
talk us through your first cigar and how kind of the steps along the way from, smoking that first premium cigar to saying, oh, let's start a cigar brand.
Let's move to Nicaragua.
Let's move
to Nicaragua.
Let's move to Nicaragua.
Happens?
Yeah, because people say that every day. It's like people from the States are every day. They're like, yeah, let's move to Nicaragua and start a cigar brand.
Yeah, totally typical stuff,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so it really, it started out as a celebration thing. When my niece and nephews were born, I have a sister, and she's got some kids, and my niece and nephews, I buy a cigar as a celebration thing. My first cigar, quite literally my first premium cigar, was actually was made by Quesada. It was a Fonseca 2001 vintage tubo in a black tube. Purchased it at a supermarket, and I've got to shake Quesada's hand every time I see him at PCA or IPCPR. Before, I would always tell him, you're the reason I'm here, because in that first cigar, and this is always the far-fetched part of the story, but I swear this is absolutely true. In that first cigar, I remember smoking that cigar, and as I'm smoking it, I was talking to myself, how could I make my life so I could do this every day?
Wow.
And
I like it.
In my first cigar, and I enjoyed it that much, and it became an occasional thing, monthly, weekly, and then whenever I discovered there was a whole kind of community around cigars, I was all in at that point. And later I would end up working with Outlaw Cigar Company, helping them open their South Store location all those years ago. Met a lot of fantastic people that actually helped guide my cybersecurity career terrifically. I was just bumped into people in lounges that I wanted to work with. In fact, in this lounge that I'm sitting in here, Fidel's in Westport, Kansas City, I actually met a gentleman, and we went out and started a company. I was fourth person in that company. We turned it into an incredibly successful consulting firm that I'm still happy to be friends with all those people today. And so that's so cigars have kind of been there for a long time, and I always just worked behind the counter, regardless of kind of what professional work I had going on. I always had a part-time job working a couple days a week here and there to kind of stay close to the industry, stay close to the business. And ultimately my professional career in cybersecurity got too intense, and I had a pretty incredible run. I had a 4.5 year period, started 2 unicorn startups with a couple of companies where I was in the early double digits on those companies, and that allowed me to travel the world a lot, but I was never home, so I couldn't work at a cigar shop anymore. And I had a friend that had been bothering me to come out to Nicaragua. He had asked me so many times to come out. He would take a yearly trip. He had been a retailer, and so I agreed, and I wanted to go anyway. And I told him, I go, because I always loved Latin America. Everywhere I'd been in Latin America, it always impressed me. There was always just something unique about the people, culture, everything. And I told him, don't let me buy a house my first trip. Let me get a little bit more used to it. And so what had happened was I had taken a trip over to London and spent about a week in London. Went and saw Stonehenge, did all that, and went and met up with my customer. It was a medical customer out there, and I was supposed to go to Jordan after that, and they were having a lot of issues in Jordan at the time, so I couldn't actually take the trip to Jordan unless I had gone through the Air Force Base. And I'm a known hacker. You can look me up. I'm in NIST and all that kind of stuff from a bunch of stuff I used to do, and so I couldn't enter Jordan. So I'm standing in Heathrow, and I called my boss at the time, and I said, "Hey, do you mind where I live?" And he goes, as long as you get to an airport, I don't care. So it was $3,000 for a same day ticket to fly back to Nicaragua. It was $5,000 to come back to my house in Kansas City. And so I flew back to Nicaragua, got a house, and Esteban and I, lived about 15 minutes from each other, became great friends. And I would say the rest is history, but it's actually, it's even crazier than that, because there was this whole thing that happened in the middle of that. A bunch of people told me it was a pandemic or something, and but a bunch of that stuff happened, and that just kind of put everyone on their heads. But so we, Esteban and I had known each other. We had met at trade shows and stuff like that, and there was always just something special about his approach to tobacco. And same with Raul, his brother, and we became real close. I became good friends with Anthony, his friend, his son as well. Became good friends with them as well, and the whole family. And they were really the first Nicaraguan cigar family that kind of took me in, and I would ask them different nerdy stuff about tobacco, and they were full of answers. And so it was hard not to go and meet up with them as much as possible. So I would be in my house in Esteli, and we have a microwave radio up on top of the house so I could get internet and do all my cybersecurity and stuff from there. And then whenever I'd get done with my meetings for the day, I would go tour different factories and pick up what I could about cigar making. And I didn't know what to expect whenever I moved to Esteli. I mean, I was really just the junkie that moved to the poppy field. I mean, it didn't make any sense. And Esteban laughs about it, like whenever I moved there, as if it was supposed to be like I was going to. Yeah, we're live right now. Yeah, sorry. No, I'm a cigar maker.
You're a cigar maker?
Yes.
She let you do that shit?
Yeah, she does. Sorry, guys.
No, it's all good.
It's all good.
We got to know each other really well, and Esteban had been making moves towards cultivating tobacco, and it takes a lot of time to put together a tobacco brokerage. You need a lot of land, a lot of time. There wasn't an opportunity for me to kind of enter or anything at that point in time. But I was following along very closely, and I would go out and try the different tobaccos that he was working on and learn from him. And on one of the trips I was going to take up to Esteli, because when the whole pandemic thing happened, there was not really any opportunity for me to go to factories anymore. And I had a girlfriend in Managua, so I had to stay close to home, right? So basically, I had moved down to Nicaragua, or to Managua, and I called up Anthony one day, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to come up to Esteli. I'm going to let's meet up for a cigar." And he had told me that hey, we actually just sold our half of the factory, and we're not making cigars anymore with Nico Sueño. And Esteban has had an incredible background in cigar making. From his time in the Dominican Republic, he apprenticed with Sergio Cuevas, him and Raul, and then going to Nicaragua 25 years ago, and actually, being there at the precipice of Nicaragua's run into what Nicaragua is today to cigars, which is a really sizable contribution to this community that Nicaragua has had, and the Disla family has been there all along the way. And he became chief of production for Latin America Cigars. That was put him as master blender to some 30 plus different brands out there, and of course they had later got acquired by Scandinavia Group and what you would know today as General Cigar Company. And so that was before he had even went out and started working on Nico Sueño as a co-founder. So you want your friend, especially whenever they've been through I know a creative situation, and you want your friend to feel valuable, and you want your friend to understand that like their art and their approach is meaningful to people. So I just literally casually asked him on that same phone call. I go, well, how about you make a cigar for me? and I didn't know, I don't know if he's gonna just roll up something for me to smoke and call it my house cigar in Managua or what have you. But I wanted him to feel like he had a lot of purpose, and he certainly does. And he was already growing tobacco at the time, and the Condega tobaccos really they hit their prime right at about 5 years, right? 5 to 7 years is whenever it's the best time to really dig into Condega tobaccos. You could rush it. You can do it a lot sharper. Same thing with District Esteli tobaccos. You can go a lot faster. Pueblo Nuevo, I don't know a whole lot of people that hold on to that for any extended period of time, just because of how it mellows out. But the tobacco was just kind of coming to fruition, and we met up at that point in time that day, and started talking about what it would look like. And it was really just getting me up to speed, because Esteban really had this vision for the kind of company that he wanted to build. I mean, he was, laser focused on quality control. We need to be able to, control what comes out of the farm, what goes in the factory, what goes in the box and gets delivered to the customer. And starting all that up day one is something that hasn't happened in more than 30 years. So we think 30 years, maybe towards the 90s or something like that. There might have been another company that started up around that period of time. But in reality, it might have actually been closer to the Cuban Exodus, right? Whenever you had a new cigar company that actually grows their own tobacco, has their own factory, has their own brand, all under one house, right?
Yeah.
And he wanted to launch that way. He wanted to actually bring it to market in that way. So yeah, anyway, it was really getting me up to speed, and we went out and built a whole brand and built a factory, and him and I are partners in the whole enterprise 50-50. So it's been an incredible time. We started growing tobacco 5 years ago, started the factory 2 years ago, and just launched the brand here about 3 months ago. So it's been an incredible time. Big learning experience for me.
So is this your first podcast, cigar podcast?
No, I've done a couple more. I've done a couple of different podcasts. I did some different media on it already. Yeah. Why is that?
The approach, I really dig the approach, because we've all heard the stories, time and time again from multiple new cigar brands, over the last, for me, I've been consuming cigar media, watching cigar media before even doing cigar media, since back in, 2010, 2009, somewhere in there. And, the stories over and over again you hear, which a lot of these stories are great stories, where somebody says, okay, I want to start a cigar brand. So they book a trip, they go to, Esteli, or they go to, somewhere in Dominican Republic. They build some relationships with a factory. They start working on blends. They get the blends put together, and they do the branding and the legal stuff and the, the packaging and distribution and shipping, and go from there. You went like, no, let's build a factory. Let's start from scratch.
He went full nerd. and I mean, that's not that, and I'm not saying that's never been done before. I'm saying that's rare air right there, is for somebody to take that approach. Was there ever a time that you thought, okay, maybe let's just work with somebody to do some stuff for us? Or was it always from the very beginning, like, me and Esteban, we're all in, we're gonna buy a facility, we're gonna buy all the table, because facility wise, for a cigar factory, you got to have molds, you got to have presses, you got to have rolling tables, you got to have fans, you got to have all this stuff. And so it's not just like, opening a McDonald's, this is a lot of work. So how did that all look at the beginning?
So exactly what you're explaining. It's not trivial. Cigar making is not trivial. And I was every bit of a cigar nerd in the aspect that, if I was ever going to work on a cigar, put my name on a cigar, put my efforts towards a cigar or something like that, I didn't want it to be a direction and commission thing. And that's okay. That's a big part of our industry. And it's created some very iconic companies and in cigars. But, there's the way that I've always broken it down or rationalized it is there's really three waves to cigar making. And we call ourselves a third wave cigar maker for the reason that the first wave was really what's defined our industry, which is the Cuban Exodus. This is all the Cuban families that, had to leave Cuba, had all their things and possessions and belongings and so on removed from them. And they went out and, they were mostly starting factories with, growing the tobacco and everything. And so that was really the first wave. It defined our industry. It has defined our industry since, culturally and otherwise. I mean, I'm sitting in a cigar shop named Fidel's, which is very ironic, but it's kind of embarrassing when I had to tell my friends in Nicaragua, the shops that I worked for, and I had to say this name. But the cultural context is all here though, because the family that actually owned it was actually an English family that named this shop originally, and they didn't understand the significance of many of these things. So the first wave of cigar making, compare it to the first wave of coffee. The first wave of coffee was taking an agricultural product and slapping a name around it, which is essentially what these people were doing, right? It's a handmade product still and everything, but the first wave of coffee was Folgers or Maxwell House, right? Agricultural product, slap a name on it. Okay, so what is the second wave of cigar making? Well, that was really, ushered in by the 90s cigar boom. We had all these first wave families. They knew how to manufacture cigars. They knew how to grow tobacco, but they didn't really understand what the American consumer market was, right? And so you had all these entrepreneurs pop up, and they said, okay, Mr. First Wave Cigar Maker, put my name on it, put, this branding and packaging and labels, and ship it to me, and I know how to represent it. And the second wave of, coffee, somewhat ironically, is the Mermaid Corporation. It's a unified menu. It's predictable, right? It's exactly what you want and where you need it, right? And that created a lot of availability in cigar shops. And I actually credit that massively with helping to stabilize this industry. So that said, what is the third wave? Like, what is the next generation? What is your contribution going to be to, the moment of tobacco, the moment of time? And what do you believe we can actually do with cigars that haven't been done before? We effortlessly, a lot of times, make comparisons to, wine and bourbon and all of these different things. But how often are we actually living up to that? Right. Yeah. How often are we doing those things? Right. And, imagine a bourbon maker that they just blend other people's bourbons together and stuff. And then it really doesn't matter whose name you slap on it. You can slap Snoop Dogg and, whatever celebrity on there. And like, if it'll help it sell, go ahead. but are you actually advancing that topic? And that's part of what a third wave cigar maker is quality control. The same way that a third wave, coffee company is, where you're laser focused on quality control through every step of the process. It just so happens that in our industry, it has, parallels to winemaking. It has parallels to scotch making. It is its own thing, though. And it's so dynamic and so challenging that I knew I was in no chance in my life, in my 30s, of being able to go out and learn enough about those topics to be able to take that on and actually do a service to the industry. So when someone like Esteban becomes available, and he's, has 40 years in the cigar industry, he's been working on tobacco since he was 11 years old, growing tobacco. He's worked his way through every single position in premium cigars. He's fed his family working on a rolling table, rolling cigars, right? He knows what it takes to make it through each of those positions. And this was always his vision. It was always his vision. He even sent 2 of his children to the United States to learn English and learn the American cigar market, so that he could better understand through them how to approach the American cigar market. He's been aware of this for decades now. And the appeal to working with him was, Anthony asked me one time, he goes, with your ability to build brands and, run international businesses and things of that nature that I've done in the past, why didn't I take the initiative to go just work with a factory and put together a brand? And I go, because I knew how hard this was. I knew how hard cigar making was. I understood enough to know that I wasn't going to be successful, and I wasn't going to be happy with what I was, attempting to build, if it wasn't something where I could confidently say that, we're able to take our cigars from soil to smoke and put them in your hands, and them actually be unique and hopefully inspire people. And I would love to see other people come out of what we've done and mimic some of these things. That would be sincerely incredibly flattering if other people would take that approach. I understand why they won't, but because financially it's an insane proposition.
Yeah.
To grow tobacco for 5 years for a project that you've not sold a single cigar, to put together a factory 2 years ago and you've not sold a single cigar. I mean, people were wondering endlessly what we were doing. Or were we just blowing a bunch of money and everything, and we certainly were, but tobacco strives, the industry on that side of the house strives with time and tobacco, right? If you have time and tobacco, you're going to do pretty well. And on the US side, it's really your success is measured by volume and venue. Right. So on the agricultural manufacturing side, time and tobacco, US side, volume and venue. So it doesn't really matter if you sell, 10 million cigars. If you're in the wrong venue, you haven't made a impactful change to this community. If you're, having the wrong volume, but, your cigars never become notable, but they're sold by all the best retailers, then it also doesn't really become all that impactful. So you have to kind of thread that needle to say that you've done something special and unique. And of course, that's what we're still attempting to do. So.
Yeah.
So getting back to your factory, how many people do you employ?
Yeah.
So factory alone is about 14. On the agricultural side, in Condega. Hey, Ramsey Smoke Shop. How's it going, guys? On the agricultural side, in Condega, where we have the Pelone facility, we have about 60 regular daily people there. And then actually agricultural hands, priming tobacco, working fields, tilling soil, all that kind of stuff, about another 25. So I would say that the number floats, 80 to 100 people, depending on what time of year we are and what we have to work on.
Okay. So one other thing that's unique about the way you guys approach this is, again, kind of going back to what the cigar industry has seen time and time again for years, is a new brand comes along, and this is it's just very common, and I don't fault these companies for this, but the common approach that we've seen a lot is they get their cigars, the blends the way they want them, and they come to market with a Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys have like just an insane array of vitolas in both of the blends. So what led you to say, okay, they have to be released in all these vitolas instead of just like the basic cookie cutter
1, 2,
vitolas?
3,
Yeah. Well, I like a lot of stuff smoke. I like smoking something a little bit different. I like different sizes. I like how the size, like a wine glass, of course, again, making those comparisons, how that changes the smoking experience. I mean, how cool the smoke is, what the airflow is through the cigar, all those things start to stack up, and people start to find their preferences in that. So I wanted to have sizes that were available that were going to be close maybe to what, or exactly what people were used to smoking or, accustomed to smoking. So lots of different vitolas. We, of course, do the ratio blending, as I mentioned before, that helps create a very dynamic cigar from cigar to cigar. So you always have more to explore throughout the line. But certainly it looks like a heck of a lot. But whenever you actually see it on a retail shelf, both lines in all 9 sizes fit into about 50 inches. So the boxes are slide top boxes. I think for a freshman release, is just my personal opinion, I think a freshman release of any cigar company is, best suited in slide top boxes. And that's what we went with. We went with a very unique slide top box, and hopefully tried to show some of our nature and what you can kind of come to expect to us in the future around packaging and appeal of the cigars. But But yeah, it certainly does look like a lot. You look at a lot of established brands, and one of the biggest things about whenever you do the standard thing, you come out with like a Robusto, you come out with maybe a Toro, maybe you do a Toro Gordo or Robusto Gordo or something like that. When you limit it to that, not that that's always a bad idea. There's cigars that benefit from that, and there's certainly Connecticut's, for example. I mean, if you've got more than 5 of the same blend of Connecticut on your shelf, I mean, what are we doing, right? But I don't say that because I have a knock against Connecticut or anything. I'm just saying that when you want to deliver big, impactful flavor, right? Changing the shape of that glass. I mean, if it's a Riesling, it's always going to be a Riesling in that glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't really get a whole different bouquet by putting it in a big red glass, right? So I think it's a little bit limiting. There's certainly some brands that I wish would stretch out some different sizes. I think they would benefit from it. But I want to tell you this though, I know why they don't. because again, like what it costs to actually do that, what it costs to put those cigars up, what it costs to do a little bit different marketing. We make the relevant size, which is a 50 by 4 little short guy, great smoke. I mean, it's a great beginning of the day, end of the day smoke. I mean, it bookends your day really nicely. But that size, it requires a custom label to be ran off for it. And, it's, just coming out with that size alone because of how short the boxes are, it introduces a lot of additional costs. And I can see why people don't do it. But, Esteban and I are both just too big of nerds about cigars to leave anything on the table. So, we wanted to show that. So those are our feature sizes. We don't have a core line. Our stance on that is, whenever we run out of the tobacco coming out of the field to put into that cigar, that's when the cigar comes off the line, right? So all of our cigars are features, and it's based on our agriculture.
Well,
Go
go ahead.
I got a question. Your Bellicosa has a shag foot, and it's the only one with a shag foot. What made you do that? Yeah.
So the shaggy Bellicoso. So Bellicoso, traditional Bellicoso, 5x54, great format of cigar. There's been some incredible cigars in that format. That shaggy Bellicoso is no different. It lights up like a Gran Perfecto. Gran Perfecto changes over the course of maybe 10 minutes or something like that. That shaggy Bellicoso turns on and off like a light switch. I mean, it's really incredible whenever you hit that wrapper. That's also another kind of crazy cigar because generally you don't want to fire up the filler tobacco. Let me see if I have one in here to be able to speak to.
I've got one right here.
You got one you could show off. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so that filler tobacco, so that does not have any binder introduced to it. So you've got just wrapper, and then the binders are all tucked in by the wrapper there. And normally you don't want to do that because, again, like you expand all the fillers, right? Now you've got humidity pushing down the cigar. You got airflow pushing down the cigar. It's going to split the wrapper. And we wanted that distinct flavor change. We wanted you to be able to taste the tobacco the way that we do whenever we're assembling the cigar. So the same way that I tasted on the bench, right, in Nicaragua, as we're blending the cigar, we wanted you to be in on that experience. So we wanted you to be able to taste that. And we also then wanted you to see what the wrapper does to that blend and how it tweaks that blend. So what we've done there is we actually assemble that cigar without the binders. So it's a madman's way of pulling this off. But whenever we put them in the molds, we press them without the binders, and then carefully trim the Bellicoso so that the Bellicoso is nice and smooth. And then what the torcedor does, it puts the wrapper on. They actually have to have previously been a Banchero. That way they know how to work with the binder. So they lay down the binders on top of that. They actually create a sandwich on their work palette. And then they cut in that line. We take an extra 1/4 of an inch of of wrapper leaf, and we use that like a rubber band around the very end, and then we assemble a double binder and wrapper for the rest of the cigar, finishing out the cigar. What that does is it allows the fillers to dry out at a more consistent rate, and it allows there to be more room for expansion in the wrapper, so that you can run a very long shaggy and not risk splitting down the cigar. So the manufacturing technique is incredibly unique. We call it His Excellency, which is the head of state for a republic, and Esteban and I are both from republics, and we live, of course, in a democracy in Nicaragua, but it was kind of a nod to where we're from, and it's bellicoso, so you can cut it as open or as short, so you can be as involved in the cigar or as not involved as you want to be, which I thought was very fitting for the name choice. But yeah, that cigar is done incredibly well for us. That's probably our top 3 selling Vitola right now.
Nice.
And people just love that flavor transition, because it really puts on its heels, what you expect that cigar to taste like without any wrapper and without any binder.
Well, and I've got to know, because whether going into IT speak, I guess, there's always if you've got a group of software engineers that are working on something, there's always programming code that ends up getting thrown away. And,
sure.
and if you're making a movie, there's always, snippets that end up on the cutting room floor. Which
sure.
Vitolas didn't make the cut?
Lancero?
Were there Vitolas that you tried, like whether it was a Corona Gorda or whether it was a what was that called again, Raul?
A Lancero.
Oh, Lancero. Okay.
Yeah.
Were there any Vitolas that you tried that you guys were both like, yeah, this just doesn't work?
Yeah.
By the way, before you start that, I just want to show everybody how clean of a burn this is. Over here. There we go. How clean of a burn this is. And it's been drawing fabulous.
Yeah. This and the one, are we smoking? No,
we're both smoking Toros, though.
Yeah, we're both smoking Toros. And I got to say, before you get into your answer, Daniel, that this cigar, and I'm smoking the Negentropy, and I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong. But I think
you're saying it
right. So I'm a bad judge of character when it comes to full-bodied cigars, because I smoke so many cigars that like full-bodied. I always caution our viewers and listeners, like if I say that it's kind of a more medium cigar for you, your results may vary. But this cigar is it's super rich, but it's super smooth, and even the retrohale on this cigar, as much depth and thickness of texture as there is to it, the retrohale is it's just, there's no bite to the retrohale whatsoever.
And
I really appreciate that about this blend.
One's the same way. The retrohale, it's nice and smooth. No watering your eyes. Nothing. It's nice.
No, I appreciate that. That's definitely an element that we go for. Is we want it to smoke off the palate, we want it to smoke off the retro, we want the aroma to be spot on in the room, and those are definitely all elements that come in. As far as sizes, there was one size you guys mentioned earlier I'd never heard of. I think it was called a Lancero. I don't know.
Something like that. Something like that. So there is sizes that they weren't really cut from the line. They were obfuscated from the line because we had something that was just so reasonably close, right? And there's definitely commercial factors. I mean, our preferences are in every cigar we put out. All right. So just let's not get mistaken here. Esteban and I's preferences are in everything that we put on the market. And when it comes to size, I mean, you are looking for market position and how interested people are in those cigars. That said, I mean, the cigars that didn't make it are actually entire blends. We have our number 7B
project, which is of course a U.S. grown broadleaf project that we've been working on for some time. We've been through 6,000 variations now of that, and we're still putting out cigars against that. And so, when a single Vitola doesn't work out or doesn't match kind of what our expectations for that cigar would be, then it's generally going to get killed in the ratio filter, right? So it's just never going to see market there.
Yeah.
So that puts a lot of pressure on us. I mean, when let's talk about like house of brands, brand house, right? We're a brand house, which is also an unusual take. House of brands is much more common approach these days, but a brand house allows us to kind of verticalize how we're positioning our cigars over time. And we've designed 7 different series out of the gate, and then we narrowed down on which areas of marketing the cigars, and you want to it's cool if it's a Ferrari or something like that, but if it doesn't look like a Ferrari, it's just not all that interesting. Take all the body panels off and things of that nature. So the cigars have to have a curb appeal to them. That said, I mean, I don't sell cigars based solely on that. I mean, we sell cigars based on relationship, right? The actual marketing appeal is mostly has to do with how memorable is it, and size has something to do with that, right? So how much does it matter to the blend? I mean, there's definitely not a cigar that we've put out where we haven't been super happy with how that blend has been taken on in that size. And the 60 ring gauges, I mean, that's a new world size that you almost can't stand to not have in your line. And I'm smoking a 60 right here. I've been chatting a whole bunch, so I let it go out. But I'm smoking a 60 right here, and I have to tell you, I mean, I smoke a 60 now several times a week. A 6x60, for some reason, that's a thinking cigar for me. When it comes to size, I don't know why, because I mean, I smoke all the time, and I'm always active a lot of times when I'm smoking. And for some reason, whenever I'm sitting down for a long, same thing whenever we did all the test blends and everything like that. Anytime we got to a 60 ring gauge, I'd go in my office and put the fan blowing out the office and just sit down and really think about that blend. Does it kind of match what's surprising about New Gentropy in a 6x60 ring is that it actually smokes a lot more like the Toro than what people are probably prepared for. And that will surprise people. And then whenever you put that into a box press, when you box press a cigar, the wrapper and binder tends to dry out just a little bit quicker because you're setting up against a box press mold. And it takes less of an action in the kind of secondary fermentation that happens in the aging room. Aging rooms aren't set up like your humidor at home. Aging rooms oftentimes have a completely different feeling offset to the environment. For all the, you said this is a geeky podcast, right? So
yeah,
a geeky nerd podcast, right? So yeah, I mean the on a psychometric chart, which is what you would use to like calculate whether or not dew is going to set up on an HVAC system, right? On a psychometric chart, temperature and humidity are relative to the grain of humidity that's in the air. So the actual grain humidity that you're looking for in the air is actually about, on most aging rooms, is going to be like 13 deviations from the dew point, where your home humidor might be only about 6 or 8 deviations. And that makes a really, really big difference how it plays out on the tobacco, because you can be inside of your aging room almost 5 degrees Fahrenheit hotter just because of the amount of tobacco pressing on other tobacco in that room, and it's excreting pretty hot gases and a little bit of carbon dioxide and other things that are coming off of the cigars as they rest into place, but certainly a heck of a lot of humidity. So that said, I mean, putting it out in having 260s in the line, people are also kind of like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" Uh, but having one as a box press, it actually smokes totally different from the 6x60. Having it in a 4.5 box press, it really works.
Yeah, and a 60 box press. We've talked about this a lot on the show, that it's just got a different feel than a Parejo. And
Yep.
for people who say they don't like 60 ring gauge cigars, find a 60 ring that's a box press.
Yep.
And it'll change your mind. And also, we say that although we're also not really like big ring gauge smokers for the most part, but there are some blends out there that we've named a few of on the show over the years. But there are some blends that just, for whatever reason, they just work really well in that bigger ring gauge. And I say, why not? If the blend doesn't work in a 60 ring gauge, then don't release it in a 60. But if it works in a 60, then do it. That's what matters. If the blend tastes and smells right, then do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's a principle to everything that we're talking about here, right? Is if the blend comes together, I mean, 60s, they age out differently, right? Oftentimes they actually dry a little bit quicker in the aging room. That said, I mean, do people hold them long enough, right? I mean, that's, whenever you get into cigar aging, you're not just storing cigars, you're actually moving the cigar. That neutron that you're smoking there smokes great, fresh, right? It's not that interesting about, a month and a half into the aging room. It's not that interesting at 2 months into the aging room. At 2.5 months, that cigar becomes magical to me personally. And the flavor notes just pick up on the cigar, becomes loud. We like to think that we make loud Nicaraguan cigars. There are people that make loud Dominican cigars and loud Honduran cigars, but a loud Nicaraguan cigar has to hit differently. It has to be, something uniquely relevant to us to put it out. And certainly 60s. I mean, and we've already had this happen with our broadleaf project. That's actually what canceled the first version of our broadleaf project, was actually the 60 ring gauge. It didn't slap as hard as we needed it to. And then we went out, made some tweaks to the primary blend, and the 60 got us the second time. Because it would basically it was fall out of your chair strong. I mean, it was just, and I don't want to get anyone to I don't want to give anyone the fizz over saying that, but I mean, I brought a couple to the States and had a few friends smoke through them, and they all said the same thing. They're like, this cigar is ungodly strong, So that's not a super enjoyable thing. You can make something that is pretty smooth on the palate, but is not a sessionable cigar. And that's the same thing with like our intensity chart. On every box that we put out, we have a 5-star intensity as to how intense we believe that cigar is. The 5th star doesn't mean that you're going to fall out of your chair, right? It means that you're 2 or 3 cigars from that, right? It's not. We're not trying to, as you mentioned earlier, if you smoke a whole lot of cigars, you may be adapt to it, but we're trying to make sure that the 5% of daily smokers that are discerning cigar smokers that smoke every day, that they have something they will keep them interesting, that they can continue to come back. But ultimately, there's 95% of the market that doesn't smoke every day, that might enjoy a strong cigar, and they don't want to be in the bathroom or having to pound a Coca-Cola to get right from feeling woozy either, right? So let's make safe, sane cigars, but let's do it in a way that's interesting and loud, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
one last thing before we get to our next segment, and I'm curious because obviously when you're blending, you're trying to keep your palate clean, but just from a pure enjoyment perspective, a pure relaxation perspective, and this can change from morning to evening, but your beverages of choice that you just love to sit and enjoy with a cigar.
So that would be some nice Italian water here.
There we go.
And yep. So I like a good palate cleanser. What I actually do is this San Pellegrinos. They sell them in Nicaragua. They sell them here in the States. I smoke a lot of cigars, and I like to keep the pH on my palate the same. No matter what country I'm in. So I normally do that. I like coffee. I used to own a coffee company many moons ago, and so oftentimes coffee, water. That's kind of the primary thing I go for. I don't drink too much in public anymore. I realized I'm really good at it, and I don't want to. I try not to show anyone up. So no, I'm joking. But you have to realize I was a consultant for many years. So I had my fair share of drunk time at the bars. I got over that many years ago. So
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
These guys know better. These guys know better.
Right.
Is it time, guys?
I think it is time.
All right, guys. It is now time for this week's Numero de los Muertos. As always, Numero de los Muertos brought to us by our friends at Smoke Inn.
Honestly, agree with the goat to tell you about Smoke Inn's Cigar of the Month Club. Every month, I personally handpick 5 premium cigars. Another great feature is our Double Down Club. With a simple check mark, you can get double this great selections every month and save $10. Every month, there's a special discount code where if you like any of the selections, you can get them at a special discounted rate for our Cigar of the Month Club members. We've made it super simple. All you gotta do is log into your account. There's a little green button there. If it's green, you're active. You want to take a break, going out of town, simply hit the button and you'll deactivate your membership. We get the stuff out on the 28th of every month. Our membership bills on the 28th, and we get every member's package out on the 28th if it's a shipping day. All delivered to your door for $34.95. 5 great reasons on what makes Smoking Cigar of the Month Club the best club out there. Check it out. Peace.
All right, Numero de los Muertos, episode 251. Now, the number this week is it's been very tough during my research to nail down an exact number because different countries keep different records in different ways. But I'll say, based on all the research I've done, I am confident in saying the number is around 100 people per year die from this around the world. So, Daniel, Numero de los Muertos, I give a number, and these guys have to, along with you and our viewers on all the platforms, basically play 20 questions, trying to break down what the sometimes strange causes of death is for these, and in this week's case, around 100 people per year die from this particular strange cause.
So
Worldwide.
Is it a lot lizard David's for?
Right. Was that some Easter egg from earlier?
that number, David, is probably much, much higher, sadly. But no, that's not.
Worldwide, 100 people a year die from this.
Escalators.
Not escalators.
Elevators.
Not elevators.
Bug bites.
Not bug bites.
Heat.
Not heat.
Is it a workplace accident?
Not a workplace accident.
Are vehicles involved?
Vehicles are not involved.
Land or sea.
Water.
Water. Ooh.
Water. That's the answer, is water.
No, water is not these deaths.
Occurred in water.
I was going to say making lanceros, but
I see what you did there.
Might be one if they don't make
Falling of some kind?
Not
in
falling.
the water.
Not drowning?
Not drowning. Not shark bites.
There were some shark bites down in Brownsville, Texas, though, this last week.
Yeah,
my
I heard
son was
about
down there, and they none of them got attacked. But I saw some footage. It's pretty crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
But this is gonna
Jellyfish.
start, but jellyfish.
It is jellyfish.
What?
It is jellyfish.
Whoa.
Nice.
pretty
Raleigh
good.
coming in with the big guess. All right. So the
That was a quick one.
so
You're
the,
late, Dax.
the survey numbers. So this is why the number is likely underreported because many countries where box jellyfish live don't require death certificates. For example, in the Philippines, some estimate that 20 to 40 people die from box jellyfish stings each year, but others estimate the number is closer to 500.
Mm.
In Australia, the Chironex flickeri species of box jellyfish is responsible for about 1 death per year, but some claim the number could be as high as 100. So, I mean, I knew jellyfish, and when I was researching this and trying to search for some new unique numero de los muertos, I was like, I mean, it always starts with typing in how many people a year die from dot, and my brain is like, what the hell new are we going to possibly
And
come up?
your FBI agent's gonna love you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And jellyfish came to mind, and I knew that jellyfish stings were painful. I didn't know that they could be lethal.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really didn't know.
I mean,
So
stingrays, right? So I mean, it took out Irwin.
yeah.
So yeah, you
Have
be
you
careful.
seen the short that's going on around on Facebook and Instagram where the kid pulls out a blue jellyfish? And he goes, "Mom, look, it's a jellyfish," and it happens to be a giant dildo.
Oh,
Yeah.
Was it a Lancero or a Gordo?
It was a Gordo.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, I couldn't resist. I mean,
You suck.
yeah, I couldn't resist. So that was this week's Numero de los Muertos. All right, it is time to reveal this week's Spirit of Mystery,
Oh,
brought to us by Postani Cigars. So I will say that I enjoyed this pour. It was a little bit it was a little bit kind of, I don't want to say one-dimensional, but it was kind of it wasn't super complex, but I didn't mind the fact that it wasn't super complex, because a lot of these bourbons and scotches and ryes can have a lot of complexity of different flavors and aromas. This one was a little bit more, simplified, but it's really hard for me because I'm more of a bourbon guy than I am a rye guy, but I mean, some of the ones that come to mind that this makes me wonder if it's in that wheelhouse is like either like, I don't think it's High West. Part of me wonders if it's Remus, but then there's another part of me that wonders if it's the oh shit, they're more known for their bourbon than their they got the metal thing on the bottle.
I think we just saw it in the chat. Basil Hayden's.
Basil Hayden. So I wonder if it's maybe the Basil Hayden because it's got that kind of where it seems up front like it's more of a classic bourbon, but then it's got some of those rye characteristics. So I'm either gonna say Remus or Basil Hayden. Oh, it's Basil.
Is that
Hayden.
2 in a row?
It's Basil Hayden.
Is that 2 in a row?
That's,
He didn't get last.
Oh,
week.
man.
I didn't get.
Oh,
I
we
got a
got-
couple weeks
okay.
ago. Well, all right. So that's going to get my ego way too big because I don't
Basil
I
Hayden
don't get a lot of.
dark rye, and it's actually not a bourbon. It's a Kentucky whiskey with blends of Canadian whiskey,
Okay.
and I think it's stored in a port.
Oh, so finished in like port wine casks.
Good job.
It's really smooth. I really like the smoothness a lot. I'll be honest, like from a bourbon perspective, I'm not a huge like Basil Hayden fan, but I do really like the dark rye, and I do also really like the Caribbean cask finish one that they do. Their standard issue bourbon. It's not really in my regular rotation, but hey,
Nicely done, bro.
I like it. I got another one. So maybe I'm actually starting to figure this whole thing out with spirits. Who knows? All right, let's jump into the lightning round brought to us by our friends at J.C. Newman Cigar Company, America's oldest family-owned premium cigar maker, creators of the popular Brick House, Perla Del Mar, Diamond Crown, and The American. J.C. Newman Cigar Company operates out of their 113-year-old El Reloj cigar factory in historic Cigar City, Tampa, Florida. For more information on their cigars or visitor experience, please visit jcnewman.com. All right. So, Daniel, some quick non-cigar related questions for you. If you were about to get into a fight, what would your soundtrack music be?
Oh God. I don't know. Probably. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster or something.
Oh, what a great choice!
Yeah, I mean,
what a great choice.
I think that would be cool though, because like even if you're getting your ass kicked to that, which would probably be my case, at least you have something good to listen to, and then like it was good on World Star. But yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, Raleigh.
Okay, so what do you think is the most overrated and underrated fast food chain out there?
Overrated. People are gonna hate me because I'm from California, but In-N-Out.
Very common answer.
So
a lot of people say that's overrated.
Yeah. These days, yeah, probably a bit too overrated. Underrated, man. That's a tough one. It has to be fast food.
Yep.
Jeez. Oh God, because I don't like any fast. I'll say this. Okay. You didn't say that country matters, right? So I'll say true. Underrated. McDonald's and Managua. Okay, this is not like they break all the rules down there. Okay. So like the McDonald's that you're familiar with here in the States, it hasn't been the same since you were a kid, right?
Right.
And I kept having these people and Managua. They tell me, they're like, you got take me to McDonald's. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to eat that shit. Pardon my French, sorry.
No,
but
it's okay.
But I go, no, you don't want to eat that. I was like, I don't even eat that. I'm American, and so finally I take them through the drive-through and everything. I go, okay, well, I'll get some nuggets, I'll get some fries, whatever, try it out. And all that. It's actually good. Like it tastes like McDonald's when you were a kid. Like they don't seem to apply all the ingredient stuff that is going on here. So anyway, yeah, I would say McDonald's and Managua.
So they fry
underrated
in their fryers. Do they use like beef tallow instead of vegetable oil?
It's that or peanut. One of the two. I mean, they're not. Again, I mean, it's Central America, so it's not that they don't have any of the same ingredients or something like that. It's just they put those burgers together. I'm gonna lose my job if this burger doesn't look like the commercial. I mean, they're committed. Probably close runner up to that, Papa John's in Managua. Man, at Metro Centro, that Papa John's there. I mean, every pepperoni is just like, it looks like it came out of a commercial. I mean, it just, so I guess those would be my underrated. So
allegedly, a birdie told me that you might have taken a date to McDonald's.
A date to, I mean, yeah, I'm sure that's happened at some point. Yeah, I have no doubt. But that's hey, I mean, that's a fancy meal there. I mean, that's an expensive place to go for a meal, and but we have we're starting to get a really good food scene in Nicaragua. The Michelin stars kind of coming to Central America here soon, so we got all these incredible chefs. They're so talented, and they're coming back home because they see the opportunity. They're like, hey, I can run a think of Sumesa, I can run a farm to table restaurant in Nicaragua, put out fantastic dishes and do it at a really competitive rate. So we're starting to get some incredible restaurants there. When winter, if you guys come out, give me a holler. I can show you a couple of places.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, honestly, next time I'm in Nicaragua. I've never been to McDonald's in Nicaragua, so next time I go,
Yeah, we've heard that from a couple people.
at least got to try it.
Got to go to McDonald's.
I mean, I hope they don't change anything between now and then, but I'm telling you, brother, I mean, it's nothing like the McDonald's here. And I've had the McDonald's here recently on the road, and oh boy, is it a letdown.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. All right, Justin, hit the big zombie question.
All right, Daniel, you ready?
Okay.
The zombies are coming.
Okay.
You get 3 people from the cigar field in general to be on your zombie apocalypse survival squad. Who do you pick and why?
I mean, they can be people that work for me.
Yep, people in the cigar industry that you've met, or whoever you want on that zombie survival squad.
Men or women, it's going to be any of the people that work our fields.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, they're just tough as nails, man. I mean, they do incredibly hard work. And one of the old boys that we have working there, and he's got these incredible hands. I mean, they're so amazing, and you shake his hand, and I mean, he could just rip you apart with one handshake. So rides a horse to work. I mean, so any of my agricultural guys, I'll take them.
That's fucking gangster. That's fucking gangster. Somebody that rides a horse to work. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's how they like to live, man. They're great people, hardworking people, salt of the earth. So
I love it. All right, so let's jump into this week's notable smokables, brought to us by our friends at Don Doroteo Cigars, a brand with both purpose and passion, dedicated to creating change from within. By developing their own land, they're able to own the entire process throughout the life cycle of the plant. They methodically carry out each step, ensuring that the final product is of the finest quality. The new Salt of the Earth lines, Piedra Viva and Piedra Angular, are available now at Don Doroteo retail partners. Visit dondoroteo.com to learn more. So Daniel, this in notable smokables, each week we all name a cigar that we smoked recently that was notable to us. Now, this could be a cigar that's been on the market for decades that we haven't smoked in a very long time, but just had a chance to revisit. Or could be a cigar that's brand new to the market that we've tried for the first time ever. Obviously, you're smoking mostly your own stuff, but
yeah,
we know that you're a fan of cigars in general. So, and this was a question from Dax, one of our viewers earlier. Yep. When you're not smoking your own stuff, what other brands do you gravitate to? So what really stood out to you lately?
Yeah, I mean, as a cigar maker, I mean, I gotta be same thing with Esteban. I mean, we move around different humidors, and we're not so much reading into marketing. A lot of times we're actually kind of hearing through the grapevine about different techniques that are being played out on cigars. So without getting into that part of the workshop, because that's a little bit of our R&D side, but I would say a cigar I recently revisited that regrettably I hadn't had in a long time was actually a Samparai Purple. It's at a price point that they're proud of, but that's put together from Tabacalera Palm. It's Hochi Blanco that puts those together. Dave over there is one of the co-founders. He's now stepped up and running the company. They're doing really big things over there. So I revisited their purple, and I don't. It's like foreshadowing because it's purple, but man, it has this lavender through the retro hell that is pretty damn unique. So not something I'm going to smoke all the time, but definitely a cigar that if you haven't had and you got a special occasion like a day that ends with Y or something, I would go ahead and pick one up.
Yeah, I haven't had one of those in many years. Yeah, but those were always a good special occasion cigar. Raleigh, what was your notable this week?
I just fell in love with Tatawa Black in the Petite Corona.
Yeah. Great short cigar.
Great cigar.
Yeah. Yeah, those I've always loved the Tatuaje Black.
Mm-hmm.
That blend. And of course, me, us being smaller ring gauge,
smaller guys. Ring gauge guys.
You're doing the hard sell. Justy, what was your notable this week?
Saturday, we had some family over, hang out, had a good, barbecue, and had a couple cigars. But got into my bin, and I had a couple left of the Melanio Series V Melanio from like 2021 or something like that. So they've been sitting there for a while, and it's my fiance's dad's favorite brand. So busted those out. We enjoyed them. They taste really, really good after 3 or 4 years of age on them. So yeah, it's a really enjoyable experience.
Nice.
And what about yours, Matt?
Yeah, mine was kind of a little bit of a flashback too. I mean, if it's a brand or a cigar blend that you like, unfortunately, it's dormant right now. It's not in production, but I, believe that one day they will bring it back, and that is Crown Heads, the Las Mareas. It's enjoyable blend, nice, mellow, smooth. I have a feeling we'll see that cigar, pop back in the market one of these days. But if you can find them, there's got to still be a few brick and mortar somewhere in the United States that forgot they even had a box somewhere on the shelf. So if you can find them, pick them up. The one I smoked a few days ago was, in one of the drawers of my humidor that I commonly, open drawers, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot I had that cigar. Let's smoke it. And yeah, it's probably 6 or 7 years old, but really nice blend. Didn't really lose a lot of its original kind of flavor profile. So yeah, nice cigar. That was this week's Notable Smokables. All right, coming attractions brought to us by Hoagland Insurance. And at Hoagland Insurance, they are excited to serve and educate any new customers and give existing customers a refresher. Whether it's a business policy, auto insurance, home policy, or life insurance, if you are currently insured or just looking for a quote, Tony Hoagland and his team would love to create a personal price plan just for you. Mention How About That Cigar when you make your first appointment, and Tony will have a free cigar just for you. For more information, please call 763-421-4900 or visit ChamplainInsurance.com. All right. July 22nd, Dwight Adkins, Fat Ash Cigar Lounge in Asheville, Kentucky. It's part of our Hidden Gem series.
Yep.
So these Hidden Gem cigar lounges from around the United States, and hopefully one of these days we can start doing hidden gems from around the world.
Yeah, that'd be
but for now, around the United States, Fat Ash Cigar Lounge is one of those hidden gems that more people need to know about.
Yeah,
when they're in that area, that confluence of Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia, that where all those states just like that. It's the coolest lounge with the coolest people. Great stories
on the coolest show
in premium cigars. So that's coming up on July 22nd. And still, what is next week? Do we have a show like format next week, or are we just gonna
next week the 22nd?
Next week is the 15th.
We don't have anything for next week yet.
Well, we're gonna come up with something. We're going to come up with something, and we're going to have a great time on How About That Cigar, as always.
And let's mention Cigars and Baseball.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Dax. Cigars and Baseball, September 12th, 2024, at CHS Field in St. Paul. The greatest cigar event in the Midwest. Cigars, local food, local breweries, local distilleries, some of the best cigar people in the world, brands like Crux and Dapper Cigars, and you're going to have cigars there from Drew Estate, and you're going to have cigars there from some of the biggest brands in the world, like General Cigar, Altadis, and just some incredible and Oliva. Thank you, Dax. So yeah, some great cigar brands, some incredible food, incredible beverages, and also just hanging out with a lot of people where this cigar event benefits the Miracle League, which puts together baseball facilities for kids with disabilities so they can enjoy the game of baseball. So please go to cigarsbaseball.com. I believe it's cigars baseball. Dax, please correct me if I'm wrong. Put the URL in the comments there, Dax, if you would, please. And you guys can register now. You can get early registration, special extra little gift if you register early. And go for that VIP because you get a little extra, something with the VIP ticket. You definitely want to do that. And as we have done for the last few years, How About That Cigar will be there live covering the event and showing you all the cool stuff that you can expect at Cigars and Baseball.
And watch baseball be played live.
That's right.
Stadium.
Actual cigars. I mean, come on.
Live
What else
baseball
do you
game
want?
being played on the fields as it's all going on. And we've been like crazy blessed the last few years. Perfect weather, just enough of a breeze to keep the the cigar smoke from gathering.
And our state bird
to keep the mosquitoes away. And we're still lining up some great shows for the coming months for you guys, as always. So thank you guys for sticking with us. Daniel, thank you, brother, so much for being on the show. Please, if you would please give our viewers and listeners an idea, where is the best place for them to keep up with everything that Domain Cigars has going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we greatly appreciate you having us on. So Domain Cigars everywhere on social media, Instagram, Facebook, so on. That's the best way to stay in touch with the company. Myself personally, Daniel C. Lance on Instagram, Daniel Lance on Facebook. You can hit us up there. Esteban is always monitoring. He uses the translate feature, so you might every now and again get a message or a reply from him as well. So, but aside from that, great way to learn about Domain Cigars, get a good introduction. Just go to our website, domaincigars.com. On YouTube, Domain Cigars, we have a little documentary that was made about us whenever we launched the company, and it's called Few Masters, and that's referring to how rare and inspiring of an individual Esteban is, and kind of the noble attempt to save people from smoking bad cigars. So, but anyway, guys, great being on the show. Really appreciate you all's time, and thank you for having us and letting me spread some of the gospel of Domain Cigars with you.
Our pleasure, brother. Thanks so much for being with us. All right, viewers and listeners, guys, thank you so much for being the best part of How About That Cigar Live. We are so grateful for you hanging out with us on Facebook and YouTube and X and Instagram and
now Rumble.
Thank you guys so much for being with us. If you would please, as always, it means so much to us if you click on all those beautiful big buttons, the subscribe button, the like button, the follow button. And if you're listening after the fact on the audio podcast, thank you guys so much for listening to How About That Cigar. When you drive down the road, when you work out, whatever it is you do, when you listen to your favorite audio podcast, thanks for making us a part of it. We really do appreciate it. If you guys have questions for any of us from the How About That Cigar team, you can email us directly from the website, howaboutthatcigar.com. Please follow us on all your favorite social media platforms. You'll find us at HBT Cigar. And of course, until we see you guys next time, burn cigars,
not bridges.
Thanks, guys. Any comments, opinions, viewpoints, or statements presented or uttered by guests on the HBTC podcast, HBTC live video streams, and all other media from HBT Media LLC are solely those of the individual and do not necessarily represent the opinions or viewpoints of How About That Cigar or its parent company, HBT Media LLC, any of our advertising partners, or the premium cigar industry. The primary purpose of How About That Cigar is to entertain and to encourage activity and growth within the community of people who enjoy or want to learn about the enjoyment of premium cigars.